The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
The report is that the president is dead. The word we have is that he is dead, that he was shot by an assassin at the intersection of Elm and Houston Streets just as he was going into the underpass. The word we have is from a doctor on the staff of Parkland Hospital who says that it is true. He was in tears when he told me just a moment ago.
Just returned from the Bilderberg West, which is some call it the Bohemian Grove. That's where they kill people. That's where they're alleged to sacrifice children at the Owl of Moloch. Oh, yeah, it's true, but we don't know how many. Some say 1,000 over the period of 100 years, which is not inconceivable.
Because a lot of people don't even know what Bohemian Grove is. What is it? So it's kind of a who, what, where, who goes there, who does it affect? What do they actually do? There are questions about, are there all these rituals and sacrifices? We have a lot of evidence of certain things going on. We have some evidence of some cover-ups of conspiracies and secret societies. And so we want to look at that and look at it from an objective perspective. What's really going on? What's the big deal? Is it a big deal? Is it just a rich man's country club? Are there actual crimes that have been committed or being committed there?
It is a billionaire boys club. I mean, they walk around nude. They've got hookers, sure. And they got some guys that are a little bit on the pink shade. They bring in a couple hundred of these guys so that they can bone them in the Grove.
Let's look at Northern California. You understand? Yeah. You know what's happened in San Francisco is just gone. It's clear over. I know that, but it isn't just down in the rowdy part of town. But the upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove that I attend from time to time, the Easterners and the others that come there. But it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will ever imagine in San Francisco crowd because it's just terrible. I mean, I don't want to shake hands with anybody in San Francisco.
It is said that they sacrifice children at the foot of the Owl of Moloch. And you think, well, my God, it couldn't possibly be going on. I've been told that they're simply doing the rituals. They're not doing the real thing. They're not doing the real thing now, but
Well, we do know when we have footage and other people have gone in there is a 40-foot owl that they do sacrifices to. Many people say it's an effigy, it's just a ritual, it's just kind of it's a spring break, let's get crazy kind of a thing, cremation of care. They say leave your cares behind. Others say that there actually have been real child sacrifices. I've heard a lot of people refer the owl as a Moloch, one of these Canaanite gods. Others, if I've done a little bit more research, relate that owl to other actual goddesses, Semiramis, going back to Samaria. Actually looking at Athena, who actually has an owl imagery. And so many other people have looked at this recently, and particularly very recently, looking at actually goddesses as perhaps...
Like Gaia?
That's one. That's a female
Gaia,
goddess.
The female goddess, but
Columbia.
It is the Owl of Moloch. If you go back into D.W. Griffin's films, you'll see them sacrificing children into the mouth of the Owl of Moloch. And this has been going on they've been going up on with this sacrifice of care ceremony to Baphomet, to their Lord Lucifer, for 100 years. This is not anything new, but people yet doubt it. We had Russia Today, RT, come up there and cover this story, and covering the connection between the Owl of Moloch, the sacrifice, the Bohemian Grove, and the Bilderbergs, because if you take a look at the guest list, they're pretty much the same.
Who are on this estate are committing crimes against this country and all countries of the world.
And from Backwood Deals, from Bohemian Grove, we'll bring you more. We'll tell you what dark secrets protesters have found out about this historic men's club. The news starts now. Now, Bohemian Grove is something that we've talked about a lot over the last few days. What's believed to have come from inside the gathering over the years we've talked about. But what about the protesters outside? They're a small group, at least this year, but their charges are hefty. They blame the government for everything from crime to conspiracy, and a group of them were there over the weekend to protest actions of the government and some of America's largest corporations. Protesters stood outside the gates of Bohemian Grove, where for more than 100 years, if you have been watching our coverage, some of the most powerful men in the world have gathered for an all-men's, exclusive, highly secret retreat. So, were these protesters' complaints heard by anyone aside from the trees that surround Bohemian Grove? Well, RT's Christine Frazao was there. She was outside the secret retreat, too. So she found out. Here is what she found.
Smart meters, cell phone towers, any kind of radiation.
The toxification of everybody and everything.
Weather modification program.
We're having an event here to protest Bohemian Grove.
Those who stood guard at the gates of Bohemian Grove had high hopes that those attending the all-men's retreat would pay attention to their concerns.
I'm here at the Bohemian Grove event to protest against militarism and against imperialism. What's happening right behind me at this place and others like it, decisions are being made that affect all of us, yet the people in there answer to none of us.
Certainly they came to the right place as far as trying to reach the rich and powerful. The more than 100-year-old annual conference has been attended by everyone from Dick Cheney, Newt Gingrich, Henry Kissinger, and Thomas Keane, the man who 2 years after this photo was taken would head up the 9/11 Commission. Bohemian Grove is located on the outskirts of this tiny California town of Monterey. And for more than 30 years, protesters have also been coming through here to have their messages heard outside the gate. Their messages that have, over the last few years, changed immensely.
The oligarchy, the evilarchy as I call it, are trying to bring about a new world order. That means the abolition of all society as we now know it. Their plan is to reduce the population of the planet.
Population reduction, just one of many claims and concerns by those who attended this weekend's protests, blaming those inside. In the past, heads of major electric companies like Pacific Gas and Electric attended Bohemian Grove. A popular issue this year, smart meters, a new technology used by some electric companies that records and communicates electricity consumption.
We're referring to them as smart murder meters now because people are getting very, very sick.
Bernice Heisler says radiation from smart meters has poisoned her daughter.
She's been having severe pain, burning in her head above her ears like fires. She's had palpitations of the heart.
Those here say the disease is called Morgellons.
It's a new disease that is characterized and brought down from the skies on all of us. And what you do is you hold it to your skin and you'll see these opalescent, luminous strands. And everybody has got this.
Some say the men attending Bohemian Grove should be charged with murder. Though there is no evidence of it, they say rituals that take place during the cremation of care ceremony involve symbolically sacrificing children.
The killing of children, whether ceremonial or in actuality, is a crime.
Some believe it actually happens.
There was an event, and it was there, and that's where they terminated the life of this child for the purpose of granting even more power over this country by the Catholic Church.
I need direct evidence, you know?
Well, the evidence is the child is gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of children missing, and we can't just blame it all on the Bohemian Grovers.
As you can see, the tensions here are high, with arguments breaking out between protesters.
The arguments have become child sacrifice and Satan worship and really illegitimate claims, you know? Really.
And these are the fireworks you probably knew after the cremation of care.
Down the road a bit, activist Mary Moore says she no longer attends the protests, even though she organized them for 31 years. And has an office filled with information collected from Bohemian Grove. She says the new generation of protesters have made the real issue of what goes on disappear.
There's no conspiracy happening up there. It's just rich and powerful men talking to each other, exchanging information that you and I aren't privy to.
Perhaps this is one point everyone agrees on.
95% of us are getting screwed at least 5 different ways while they're up there laughing their butts off with...
That what happens inside Bohemian Grove affects a large portion of the population, though most have no idea this secret retreat even exists. In Monte Rio, California, Christine Frizzau, RT.
We're talking about Kissinger and former presidents of the United States. 5 presidents went to
Bohemian Grove. We have Reagan and Nixon actually went there together. We've got photos of them from many years back. Prior to becoming president, the discussion was that they actually discussed who will be president first. Both George Bushes have been there, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. Question of who is there lately, because it appears that that's a place where they actually select presidents. We do have evidence that the Manhattan Project back in 1942 was actually hatched there, leading to the atomic bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
We're at Bohemian Grove. This is 2,700 acres that was purchased way back in the 1800s. All the Republican presidents since 1923 have come here, together with a number of Democratic presidents. They have a 45-foot owl in there in which they do a sacrifice in front of. They use a human effigy. It's called the cremation of care, so they can knock out their conscience and go out there and rule the world any damn way they want. What we have here is, this is where the Manhattan Project was created, yes. They dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the 2 most Christian cities in all of Japan. They dropped the bomb about 3 months after the Japanese had asked for conditional surrender. I had a personal meeting with a general who said that his commander knew about the Japanese surrender. They delayed the end of the war. The reason that they dropped the bomb, or both bombs, was an experiment on human beings. After the Japanese had offered conditional surrender. They dropped the bomb, incinerated about 250,000 people.
We know that the head of the Warren Commission, Earl Warren, was there prior to be appointed head of the Warren Commission.
The Warren Commission was massive cover-up. They killed a president. Somebody did. Somebody planned it. Somebody organized it. Was it done at the Bohemian Grove? 2,500 people go up there. I don't know how many are at the upper level